Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to Monday Night Lights. This week, coming to you live from Brands Hatch for our final event for season 12. It's all on the line here, folks. Plenty of action due on track tonight. I'm your host, Alex McKellar, and joining me tonight once again is Mr. Tim Gorcrotcher. Timmy, are we right ready for the biggest race of the season?
Yeah, mate, we're pumped. Thanks for having me again. Excited to be here as always. And Brands Hatch this week down to round 12 to decide the winner of the Monday Night Lights series. And tell you what, they've all shown up. It should be a classic.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. It's not often we come down to the wire and these sorts of things. Just taking a quick look at the scores as they stand, Mr. Hawken Grebstead leading the way, and Bill Fraser, both of whom are here tonight. They're right tied, neck and neck together, right at the top of the land at the standings, with Simon Dopp in third position. Simon representing the second split admirably, although I don't think he's cracked it for a run in the top split tonight. No, yes, he has. He's car number 16 in the top split, hoping to get some points and maybe grab or retain that position in the top three. Ben Snell, who'll be out there tonight in P4 with John Scholz, after that fantastic performance last week, maintaining his spot in the top five. But it's all to play at the top. Hawken Grebstead clinging on to what is a hard-earned lead that he's gained throughout the season, with Bill Fraser really, genuinely only really having to finish in the top 12 to grab some Monday Night Lights championship points to take it out in his maiden season, Tim.
Yeah, I got to say, I think Bill will be pretty confident tonight. He's shown a clean pair of heels virtually every time he's rocked up to race, and there's very little these guys can do about it. We've touched on it so many times. His racecraft is, next level compared to most who compete in this series. Very, very skilled driver and good at defending the line, and I expect he'll be ready to rock and roll with the likes of Hawken, of course, Tim Hendrickson, Jamie Simonet, and I think Ian Bevan, the Kiwi from Wellington, sunny New Zealand, has rocked up tonight. First official race in about 10 months for Ian. And as we know, he's a keen skip driver and very, very talented, I got to admit.
Yeah, absolutely correct there, Tim. It's great to see Ian back on track. I know he ran the 12-hour with you this weekend, and hopefully that gave him not only the taste for the action, but the experience and the seat time to refresh his memory of just how great these things are to race. So great to see Ian back out there, but setting the pace early as I'll just pull it up now. Bill Fraser really out to show that he means business, straight to the top of the timesheets, ahead of Tim Hendrickson, who has been spending plenty of time on track this week, looking to put on a great performance to round out the season, Tim.
Yeah, he has. I don't know how many officially he's done, but he's probably up in the 15, 16 range, I reckon, and majority of those were the big W's, so he'll be looking for about a second lap. Normally exceptionally clean, but Bill, as you know, he just finds the next level when he needs it. But yeah, I think Tim can bring it to him tonight. Doesn't matter where they qualify, really. I think there's a couple of good passing opportunities and a number of blind corners here, which I guess they throw a bit of a spanner in the works, and it can be difficult to get those lines perfect every time. And those drivers who are waiting to, using the slipstream waiting to pass, really pounce on those opportunities here. So it should be pretty good. I think Tim coming up for his run across the line in the next 5, 10, 15 seconds. Yeah, looks like a pretty clean lap so far, and I'm keen to see what sort of time he can post up.
Yeah, we're just sitting on board with him now, and he has jumped up to the top of the order. Check that out. 3 tenths ahead as we jump on board with Bill Fraser coming to round out his final lap there. Let's just hide that one and grab the quality compare. Let's see what Mr. Fraser can do. He's chasing a 1:37.5 as he approaches the finish line now. He's got a 1:37.4, jumping to the top of the timesheets, folks. That's a great effort by Bill Fraser there, and looking once again to stamp his authority on this race, Tim.
Yeah, impressive time. And to be honest, I actually didn't think Bill had it in him to go, 4 or 5 tenths quicker than he did in his opening lap to notch up a 1:37.8 first time around. I thought that's probably good enough. Obviously, Tim knocked him off temporarily, but to go almost 4 tenths quicker is really impressive. So good on Bill, and he's got his work cut out for him tonight. But let's have a look at where Hawken sits. He hasn't had the best qualifying. Admittedly, he said earlier he didn't have a whole lot of time to practice and hasn't done an official this week, but he's sitting back in P13. Not somewhere he'd like to be for, I guess, the race-off, round 12, and the top step of the podium is on the line. So disappointing for Håkon, but you know he's going to work hard to push through the field and make his way up the front.
You're absolutely right there. Of course, he's out of the points there, but Håkon having really run consistently well throughout the season. It'd be tough for him to improve on his points. We have 4 drop rounds in the Monday Night Lights season, and Håkon really needs 26 points or better. So he needs a sort of a top three or four finish to actually gain any points, and even then, it's only 3 or 4 points sort of thing. So Bill Fraser with it all on the line. And certainly looks like he's positioned himself just about as good as he can. With fantastic to see Ian Bevan there in P3. We were just talking about Ian. Kevin Henderson currently provisionally in P4, and Darryl Ridley once again showing that outstanding pace, sitting in P5. Now that looks to be about where we're going to be. A little bit of time left in quali, but I think everyone's run their laps. So what we might do is check out this one, folks. Get ready. Here we go. That's right, folks. It's the grand finale. And just for the grand finale, let's run through our grid, our starting order as they line up tonight. Mr. Bill Fraser looking to grab his first Monday Night Lights season overall victory, sitting in P1. Can't start any better. Tim Hendrickson showing some fantastic pace as always. He's in P2, looking to set the cat amongst the pigeons. In P3, we've got Mr. Ian Bevan. He's come back and he's setting the world on fire already. Let's see how he goes once the rubber hits the road, as it is. So it goes. Kevin Henderson, a fantastic qualification result for him in P4. Well done to Kevin. Darryl Ridley, another Aussie up the front there in P5. Jamie Simonet in P6. Starting to become quite a regular here on a Monday night. Tony Vallejo Calabo, apologies Tony, in P7 from Iberia. Ben Snell looking to push his way up the order from P8. He, of course, was an early season leader of Monday Night Lights this season. Benjamin Whitaker from ANZ Club in P9. Gustavo Conde, another one becoming a regular here on a Monday night in P10. John Scholz, after a fantastic top 5 finish last week, starting from P11, P12, another regular in the making, Tom Barry from UK and Ireland Club. Håkon Grebstad, current series leader, looking to see what he can do to hang on to that top step on the podium all the way down in P13. He'll be disappointed with that, but let's see what he can make of it from there. Mick Gray, fantastic to see Mick out in the top split in P14. Once again, a great stalwart of our event here on a Monday night. Simon Dopp, currently in P3 overall, seeing what he can make of the top split this week, representing the second split guys in P15 on the grid. Interesting to see where he finishes. Saber Luege, oh sorry mate, I've butchered that, in P16 from the Hispano-America Club. Rounding out your field without setting a time tonight from the UK and Ireland Club is Reese Saunders. And just quickly before they grid, folks, let's have a look at the race info tonight. Round 12, of course, coming from Brands Hatch. 9 turns over 14 laps, again around the 54k mark at the Grand Prix layout. The air temp 20 degrees, track temp 35 degrees, which will make driving pretty interesting out there, I would have thought, Tim.
Hot and greasy, as they may say, but it'll promote close racing and difficult to get away as the lights go green.
And they're away, coming down into the first corner here at Paddock Hill for lap 1. Let's see if they can all get tidily through there. Looks like they're going okay so far. Might grab a bit of a wider angle there. 2x2 into Druids on lap 1. Looks like Tim tucking in behind Bill Fraser there as they go almost 3 wide through Druids there. But it looks like everyone's made it through okay on the run down Graham Hill, into Graham Hill now, Tim.
Yeah, what cooperation. Bit of activity at the back. Looked like we've got a spinner on board with Simon Dobb. Unlucky for him, starting out of 15. He's at the back of the grid, but otherwise very clean and tidy, which is nice. Looks like Bill has got away cleanly. A nice bit of control, a small gap to Tim's right up his butt, but a small gap back to Ian and Kevin Henderson. Good result for Kevin through qualifying, I must admit. I think he's pretty comfortable here, and he'll be looking for a good result, perhaps a podium if all goes to plan.
Yeah, absolutely he will. He's putting pressure all over the back of Ian Bevan at the moment, who'll be looking to see if he can hang on to the front runners here. No, Ian's got pace over a long period of time. Interesting to see what he can make of his return to the Monday Night Lights here as they head down to Stirling's on the tail end of lap 1 now. This tight left-hander doing well to come into the final corner there at Clearways as they approach it now. Tim Hendrickson seems to be pretty content to sit in behind Bill, although he's kind of taking tighter lines, just showing the nose in the mirror a little bit now. Tim, what sort of pressure do you think he'll be applying there onto Bill as the race proceeds now, Tim?
Well, you'd be surprised how well the draft works here, although the front straight isn't really a straight at all. You can sneak up the outside, go around the inside. Depends what sort of defending Bill does as to the line Tim's going to take through Paddock Hill Bend, but plenty of opportunities. And if Bill creeps that bit wide through Paddock Hill, going up Halewoods Hill, every chance Tim's going to sneak up the inside and make his way through turn 2 that little bit quicker than Bill. But plenty of opportunities will come about. We've got 14 laps here tonight, and yeah, lots of good passing opportunities here.
Yeah, plenty of the guys taking full advantage of the runoff at Paddock Hill, of course. You can use every bit of the track and more here in plenty of places. Good runoff, and they're pretty lenient with the off-tracks here, it has to be said, as we see Tim Hendrickson now right on the gearbox of Bill Fraser. In fact, forcing Bill to go defensive to maintain his lead. 2 wide now as they go through Hawthorn. Looks like Tim might just keep him tight. It's actually slowing both of them down, allowing the other two in Ian Bevan and Kevin Henderson behind them to stick right in touch with us. I think otherwise they might have every opportunity to run away. And Jamie Simonet there rounding out the top 5 with Darryl Ridley right on his tails once again. Henderson forces Fraser to go wide, and once again Bill Fraser showing that amazing car control that we've seen from him all season, Tim.
Yeah, he was pretty sideways coming off the right-hander that is, I think it's Dingle Dell in the run-up to Sheen, but I thought he was gone. Took some particularly good skills to catch that. And Tim and he ran side by side virtually the whole way through those, 4 right-handers of Hawthorns and so on. And really good drive for both of them, but it cost them stacks of time as Ian Bevan ran right up behind Tim, right up under the rear wing. And there's a close battle back in the pack. Looks like we got one off the track, though. Who is that? It is Jamie Simonet, ran particularly wide as Ben Snell sneaks up the inside. Nice move by Ben. Good run up through Paddocks Hill Bend up Halewoods Hill and got that move done. But fortunate for Jamie not to go off too far in the dirt, because that would have ended his race for sure.
Oh, we've just lost another one. Who's dropping down the order now? Darryl Ridley. Oh, what's happened to Darryl? I'll tell you what, he's had some bad luck. Let's see if we can't grab and see what happened to Darryl there. Just going to see if I can hop on board here with Darryl. Oh, he's just got... We were talking about using that track and the runoff there. The rear of the car stepped out, put him straight into the wall on the outside of Graham Hill there. That's the risk you run when you use all that track distance, and unfortunately it's brought Darryl unstuck here again tonight as we jump back up to the front. It's Tim Hendrickson now, look, all over the inside now, forcing Bill to run around the outside of these 3 right-handers out the back here now as they come down to Dingledell again. Fraser now taking the line, but what it's doing is compressing the front half of the field right up, and it reminds me of our race at Spa earlier in the season where we had this big pack throughout the whole race. Not something you expect to see at this track, unlike at Spa perhaps, but I tell you what, it makes for some spectacular viewing, doesn't it, Tim?
Yeah, it does, as Tim Hendrickson finally gets the move done. They ran side by side through those 4 right-handers again. Tim putting lots of pressure on Bill, and eventually Bill backed out of the throttle a little early, and Tim put the move up the inside of Clearways. But Ian Bevan, I fancied him as a chance to get past Bill too, but Bill had a very good run into turn 1. Ian not so. A bit of activity in the background behind Ian though. Who is that? It is Hendo. Very unfortunate to have been turned around. Let's see if we can catch a replay of that one, Alex.
Yeah, just jumping on board now. Looks like you got a couple of touches in the rear there from the 11 car behind him potentially. Is Tony? No, it was Ben Snell into the rear, into Druids. And then Hendo caught it really well there, but then as the rear stepped out again in the second part of the corner, he's just been clipped by Ben Snell again. I think those two have had it coming together more than once this season, but that's an unfortunate run for Kevin there. And I know that's not Ben Snell's go, but really unfortunate for both of them ultimately. Well, although Ben's been able to continue on, and I'll tell you what, Kevin would be dirty after that. Although Ben, look at that, he's missing the whole front half of his car. He'd be lucky to get home unscathed from here, Tim.
Yeah, and I think Ben was caught out. He had a really good run down the hill and got the moves done on Tony Caballo. And I think that extra little bit of speed he carried from the draft probably put him off, and his braking market needed to be a little earlier than what it was, obviously running up the back of Hendo. And I think Kevin, despite having caught the slide that Ben caused in turn 2, I think he probably had some wheel damage, and once he got it straight, put his foot down again, the car wanted to run off sideways. So unlucky for Hendo. Is he carrying on? Yeah, he is. He's lost a number of positions, but fortunately damage isn't too severe and hasn't had to pit. So lucky for Kevin, but not the result he was looking for.
Absolutely not. I tell you what it has opened the door for is Håkon Grebstad. He's now up 7 positions from that poor qualification. He's into the top 6, and he's all over the back of Jamie Simonet, who lost a barrel of positions just one lap ago when he ran wide and we saw Ben Snell get through on him. Now Ben Snell on the front of that pack getting nice cool footsies after that incident with Kevin, but he's now got Jamie Simonet looking to move up the inside now as they head out the back on that back straight, that longest part of the circuit there, and he's just sort of almost having to make way because he'll be down on top speed up here and probably going to be struggling for the rest of the night there, Tim.
Yeah, had to move up the front just by the way. Bill Fraser snuck it up the inside of Hawthorn's. And his run was compromised on the exit as he washed off a bit of speed. Tim Hendrickson got back by as these two going side by side again. Bill backs out. He knows what's on the line tonight. Not prepared to put anything, put the car on the line really. Doesn't want any damage at all that would risk the win in the series. As you said earlier, what do you say, top 12 he needs to finish, and obviously if he has it coming together, it's all over for him. And Håkon, as we just discussed, made up a number of positions. But these two racing pretty hard. And all the while it allows Ian Bevan to catch back up, and he's well and truly within draft range at the moment.
Yeah, he's sitting there comfortably, no doubt licking his lips. And that incident, of course, that took Hendo out of contention has opened up a big gap now as we see the rest of the field behind there. We've got 4th through, it's got to be about down to, big loss there.
Ben Snell, bit sideways. And who's that?
Oh, the 11 car.
We lost Tony, unfortunately. Those two came together on turn 1. Bill a bit sideways early in the piece. Sorry, Bill. Ben Snell a bit sideways early in the piece. Tony snuck up the inside. Don't know whether Ben was completely prepared for him, but I think Tony ran a little bit wide, and that was all she wrote, unfortunately, for both those guys.
Oh, yeah. He did push a little bit wide there, Ben. The combination of Ben turning in and Tony there up the inside, and that's the magically repairing Ben Snell, actually. He's got a front nose cone again. The droids have been working well for him tonight, has pushed him wide outside, and now he's stuck back in P9. And it looks like, where's Tony out of that? He's dropped further back. Yeah, he's really lost it into the kitty litter there, and he's dropped all the way back down to P12 as they continue around the track there, Tim.
Yeah, not great for him. Disappointing, but... probably going to say a bit of both drivers involved there, and the stewards will let that one go as a racing incident, I expect. But back at the front, it's still pretty tight. Top 3 have well and truly broken away, and Tim Hendrickson's still in complete control.
Yeah, it looks like Bill Fraser's putting all sorts of pressure through the final corner at Clearways there, and looks like he's going to try and get a run up into the first corner at Paddock Hill. It looks like Hendrickson forced to take the defensive line on the inside there, but no, Bill sort of lifting enough to let them have a clear run here as we hop on board with Ian Bevan, who looks like he's holding on to this front 2, but only just. He's about 0.8 of a second behind, which is, as we know, just on the outskirts of the 1 to 1.1 second gap that affords you some draft here in these skips. Tight racing as always up the front, and great to see these guys putting on a show once again.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And just on Ian, it's nice to see someone who hasn't really jumped too heavily into the skip racing in the past 6 to 12 months get straight back into it, like a duck to water, like riding a bike, call it what you like, but Ian is doing really nicely in P3. But I agree, he's a little bit off the pace, but the draft range is assisting him. But I think as he gets more comfortable in the coming 7 laps remaining in this race, that he may be able to put a little bit of pressure on the leading 2 and see if he can fight for second or even first if all goes to plan.
Yeah, absolutely. It also depends on what these guys are doing up front as we jump on board once again with Bill Fraser tucked right up the back. Oh, he's really having to get out of it a bit here. I mean, the draft absolutely magnifying the run that he's getting there through there, making it look like Tim's running a bit slower than perhaps he is. As once again, he's forced to take a slightly defensive line and then opens up again. Oh, Bill Fraser, the rear stepping out. It's reminding me, I think he's a karting driver and showing all those skills on display here tonight as the rear of the car once again goes sideways through the quarter, Tim.
Yeah, doesn't mind hanging it sideways, but obviously not the quick way around here. But it doesn't really seem to cost him. He absolutely comfortable behind Tim, and they love racing close. But I just don't think Bill's prepared to throw it all on the line. As I said earlier, I think Tim is not going to run away with it by any stretch. But, Tim's prepared to run super, super close if necessary. And I just don't see Bill throwing the championship away at this point in time.
Absolutely no need to. As we jump back now, Håkon Grebstad and Jamie Simonet locked in a battle for those final 2 top 5 positions in 4th and 5th respectively. Jamie now just 2/10 behind Håkon, and that gap's opened up, and the front of the field is now splintered into a pack of 3 and a pack of 2, followed by a large pack here behind, led by Rhys Saunders, all the way back down to Tom Barry in P11, and it's really on still in the midfield there. But Håkon Grebstad, so we jump back on board with him, has Jamie Simonet right on his tailpipe once again. Håkon doing everything he can to try and get a couple extra points tonight to see if he can't stave off the hard-charging Bill Fraser, Tim.
Yeah, it's look at there's battles all over the place, but the one I'm interested in is the one with Ben Snell and Kevin Henderson. Obviously, Ben hitting the back of Kevin earlier, and Kevin, for a car that is heavily damaged, has got supreme pace. He's well and truly into the 37s, and that is the pace that Tim and Bill are putting on. So he's got equivalent pace to the leaders, but unfortunately back in P10 or 11 or so. But I wouldn't be surprised though. Ben Snell, he's got no front wing. He can't put in those laps that are quite as quick as Hendo looks to make a move up the inside of who's that back there, Benjamin Whitaker, and moves up P10 now for P9 for Hendo, and he's right behind Ben. I wouldn't have thought that he would return favour as he takes an excursion off the track and gives Ben a little bit of a gap, but Hendo, I know he likes to race close, and I can't help but feel he might think Ben would look better with an equivalent rear wing.
I'll tell you what.
1 or 2 creases in it, I reckon, might look nice.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of red mist under that visor, but interesting to see those two find themselves together again in the middle of a racy pack, just like the start, and albeit in P8 and 9 respectively. Just jumping back up to the front once again, we see Bill Fraser right all over the back of Tim Hendrickson now as they going through the tail end of lap 9 now, heading up through Dingledell. What a fantastically named corner that is, isn't it? Are they just coming into it now? Yes, they are, on their way down to Stirling's now. It looks like they've managed to just break the draft there with Ian Bevan behind. I know Ian will be very pleased with a podium finish tonight, but once again he'll be keeping his eye well and truly on up the front to see if he can't grab another spot up the order, with these two getting a bit racier towards the end with just the 5 laps remaining as they cross the line now at the completion of lap 9. Interestingly, these two started out so racy and it held them back a little bit in terms of breaking away from the rest of the pack, but right now it looks like Bill Fraser's got his eyes well and truly on the overall prize now, and he's just putting pressure all over the back of Hendrickson as he comes up into Druids now to forces Hendrickson to... he's giving him a nudge to the rear there. Both of them are continuing on. It brings Ian Bevan right back into it. Looks like Tim's got he's certainly got some rear wing damage. It'll be interesting to see if he's got any suspension damage. We'll go back and grab a bit of a replay there, but I think we all saw it happen live, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tim had a wiggle coming out of turn 2 just to check the car was okay, and he didn't throw it into turn 3, the left-hander, and anything particularly interesting happened. But Bill just looks to have run that little bit too close and got up under the rear wing It is been all over the shop, and Bill, I wonder what sort of damage he has, but obviously really jeopardising his championship here. But the car doesn't look too bad. Certainly Tim's is worse for wear, as is often the case in the nose-to-tail contact in the Skip Barber. But we're going to see what happens in the next handful of laps, as Tim's damage may compromise his speed, but it certainly has allowed Ian to catch up, and I'm sure he's licking his lips in hope for another step up the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. He's now closed in well within that second mark. He's just 7/10 behind the front two now, as Tim Hendrickson's car looking a little bit worse for wear on the rear there, but he does look to be getting around okay. Look, it was a really hard hit to the right rear suspension. I'd be surprised if he wasn't carrying a little bit of damage, but Bill Fraser certainly didn't take advantage of that in terms of then he probably redressed, I guess, fell short of putting himself in a position to redress after that contact. I'm not sure if Hendrickson got caught out in terms of having a poor run. He was certainly on an inner line, you would call it, into Druids in that previous lap, which probably compromised his speed a little. Fraser, of course, being able to take a more natural line. He's once again now all over the back of Hendrickson. It'll be interesting to see how Tim can bring this wounded car home, Tim.
Yeah, well, speaking of, while we're talking about racing close in packs, the battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, maybe through to 20th or 30th, it's a pretty big pack at the moment. But they're racing very close together, and that pack includes Gustavo Conde leading it up, Reece Saunders, Ben Snell, Kevin Henderson, as we've discussed many times, those two racing side by side at the moment, Benjamin Whitaker and Tom Barry. So it's pretty hot in there at the moment. Ben Snell right up under the rear wing of Kevin. I'd be surprised if he wanted to get too close. Kevin might brake check him. Who really knows what will happen? But it is a group of 6 at the moment, and those 6 cars are running particularly close. Exciting racing with only a handful to go, 3 laps.
Yeah, really impressive, as you say, for Hendo to be driving that car so quickly in amongst this racy pack, given the damage that he's got. And equally, Ben Snell, although it's a slightly different form of damage, he's doing really well to stay with him there as well. I wonder, as he runs wide yet again, I've seen him do that 2 or 3 times tonight. Be interesting to see how they finish up. I doubt Ben would potentially want to push the point with Hendo tonight, and may just sort of self-redress as it is down the line. Jumping back up the front now, we see Bill Fraser once again putting pressure all over. I saw briefly on the telemetry that Fraser went past Hendrickson, now forcing him once again to take a tight line through Druids on the defensive side of things, and tucked right up underneath again is Bill Fraser, and makes you wonder if the race driver in him will come out and he'll just want to push for the win despite what's on the line there, Tim.
Yeah, he could sit back in 2nd or 3rd and take the championship away, but no one's content with 2nd place. And Hendrickson pretty sideways on the run through that curve, which name escapes me right now, but it allowed Bill to run up, or get a better run up the inside, which is the outside to the right-hander at Hawthorns Hill, which they're running up now into Hawthorns Bend. Bill's going to go around the outside, gets the move done, comes back across the line, really nice and clean right there. Tim, I reckon, probably gave him more than enough space, I'm going to say, as they make their way through the set of right-handers. No side-by-side action this time, but Bill Fraser back in the lead, just where he wants to be for the championship tonight.
Absolutely. After all that defensive driving there, it'll be interesting to see if that damage precludes Hendrickson hanging on to Bill. If Bill's now got some outright pace, I can't imagine he's got terribly much damage. It was a light nose-to-tail contact from his perspective, and you can see really it's Hendrickson that's borne the battle scars from that. And interesting to see if Bill now can just draw away, or whether or not Hendrickson can hang on to him, even carrying that damage, and what indeed, if anything, can Bevan do behind them to put a lasting impression on this final round of the season, Tim?
Yeah, I'm keen to see what aces Ian can pull out of the bag. I know he's dying for the new set of pedals he's got on order, and he's using something from the Stone Ages, but he's driving beautifully, and as we discussed, the race is coming to him, and he's well and truly in the 37s, best lap of a 37.2, and I'm going to say that's probably equivalent to the race leaders, Hendrickson a 37.1 and Bill Fraser lap 6, a 36.9, showing his true pace. But yeah, Bill in the contact earlier, it looks like he got off pretty cleanly, a little bit of front wing damage. It wouldn't surprise me though if he had a couple of steering issues. Often you find after front end contact in the skippy that your steering is just a few degrees out, which can make it awkward, but if it's only slight, it isn't generally enough to cause too much grief. But Bill Fraser in control at the moment, a small gap over Tim Hendrickson. P3 Ian Bevan looking pretty comfortable, and those three have a big gap, 6 seconds or thereabouts over Jamie and Håkon.
Yeah, just jump. Oh my goodness, we've just caught Ben Snell in the pits. I'm just trying to find what's happened. Oh, there's been some accidents or incidents in front of him involving Hendo nose to tail, and ironically, Hendo's come across the track and he's put. Oh jeepers, there's four of them involved. He's put Snell into the wall. He's come back for a second dip, but he's leaped up and landed on his roof. There's a trail of destruction behind him, including John Scholz and Tom Barry, who end up being caught up in all of that. Oh wow, that's one for the ages, that one. I might just jump back to live pictures now as we're coming up to the final lap. We've got Hendrickson all over the back of Fraser still once again. We've got Ian Bevan poised to see what he can do on this last lap. Just quickly jumping back to the battle for, well, P4 and 5. Jamie Simonet dropping right off the back, leaving Håkon Grebstad the fourth spot there as they come around for this final lap. Looks like Håkon's done about as well as you could expect in this tight field, jumping up to P4. He's done everything he can short of being on this front pack and starting so far back. He's up 9 positions overall as we're riding on board with Tim Hendrickson as they're up the back straight on this final lap, Tim.
Yeah, it's tough to pass from now, though. I'll be honest, Bill Fraser, I think he's got this one covered. Tim, with his damage, hasn't really put any great pressure on Bill the past few laps. And I think Bill's going to have this one in the bag. But Ian, too far back at this point in time to really pressure Tim into any sort of mistake or an opportunity to pass. Speaking of passing, here comes that opportunity. Tim super sideways at Dingle Dell. No, was it Sheen Curve? It was the entry to Sheen. Very, very sideways. Runs off the track. Ian Bevan going to make a move up the inside, is he? No, he can't. I think Tim's got this one covered. He'd be silly to throw it up the inside this late in the piece. Right up under the rear wing. But it is Bill Fraser. Round 12 in the bag, in complete control. And a fantastic win for Bill tonight.
Yeah, fantastic effort from Bill indeed. And it's Hendrickson, he's just hang on in front of Bevan. Håkon Grebstad now, he's crossing the line in P4. I don't know what's happened to Jamie Simonet.
Interestingly, Håkon and Jamie at the beginning of the final lap had contact at turn 1. Håkon ran a little wide. Jamie turned in a little bit early, perhaps. Might have been the perfect line, but those two came together and it threw Jamie off, and his car's pretty heavily damaged. Håkon didn't get through unscathed. He had some damage too, but not enough to impact the race to the point where he couldn't complete it. But Jamie, disappointing finish for him in fourth majority of the night, and came across the line in P10.
I'll tell you what, there's some wounded warriors out there. We only had 3 people visit the pits in Rhys Saunders, Ben Snell and Darryl Ridley, who's retired earlier on. But there's some pretty second-hand looking skippies out there. And they tell the tale of what was a pretty eventful race, it has to be said. So, speaking of eventful races, why don't we take a look at our final race results for this final round of the season? Bill Fraser, once again, putting on an amazing performance. I can't remember off the top of my head. I should know how many race wins he's pulled off this season, but what a fantastic inaugural season for him. And he, of course, along with this race victory, takes out the Monday Night Lights season for season 12. Tim Hendrickson, after a fantastic race, right up and put on a great show along with Bill and Ian, grabs P2. Ian Bevan, what a fantastic return for him after such a long break to be right up there with the leaders, finishing within a second and indeed within a couple of hundredths of P2. Håkon Grebstad did about everything he could after a really quite a disappointing qualifying. He was up 9 spots, biggest mover in the field to finish in P4. Gustavo Conde from Iberia rounds out your top 5. Benjamin Whitaker from ANZ He's up to P6. He's up 3 positions, so he's done well in what's a very strong field this week. Tony Vallejo Caballo, he's in P7 after an eventful race for him. Kevin Henderson, wow, speaking of eventful races, he unfortunately, after qualifying so well, is down 4 positions in P8. And I don't think there could have been anyone who had more action than Kevin out there tonight. Tom Barry, up 3 spots into P9. Jamie Simone, after that unfortunate incident in the closing stages, is in P10. Moving on to the second page there, we've got John Scholz in P11. Not quite the P5 from last week, Scholz, but a good effort nonetheless. Simon Dopp, who's our second split regular, up in the points for the top split. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the overall standing. See if he can hang on to third for the season. Reece Saunders in P13 from UK&I. Mick Gray, an unfortunate result for Mick tonight. He's way down in P14 after that incident that we caught earlier in the race. Ben Snell, another eventful race for Ben this week, all the way down in P15. P16 tonight, Seba Luege. Apologies, Seba, if I've pronounced that incorrectly once again. And Darryl Ridley, unfortunately, once again, he's our only retirement. Oh, I beg your pardon, along with Seba. And once again, after qualifying so well, he's had an unfortunate incident in the race, and that's cost him dearly there, Tim. So quite an eventful evening, it has to be said.
Yeah, mate, plenty of action up the front, mid-pack, and at the back, it didn't matter where it was. Bit of contact around the place, and that made it exciting, and some ripper crashes. Of course, the one with Hendo and who was it? Reece Saunders is who he hit the back of and destroyed, I think, everyone but his own race in the end. But it was pretty funny to watch live, and Ben Snell got launched, and obviously that was the end of his race. But I tell you what, there is a lineup in the green room. Pick a number.
I'll tell you what,
What are there, like 30, 40 drivers in there at the moment want to come up for a chat? It is unlike I've ever seen before.
I'll tell you what.
And if we don't bring them up soon, we're not going to go home tonight. I'm going to ask for overtime rates.
I'll tell you what I'm worried about is some of the conversation going on. I don't want to bring up anyone in mid-spray, but let's bring up our race and season winner, Mr. Bill Fraser, for his inaugural trip into the booth. Bill Fraser, Alex McKellar and Tim Gorkrotch are here. Welcome to the RRTV commentary booth. Well, what can we say, mate? Congratulations, not only on one of many victories here tonight, but not only entering, but taking out your first Monday Night Lights season, mate. How did you find the racing out there and the racing this season?
Oh, it's been pretty good all season. Today I was just trying to be safe and avoid any accidents, because I just had to finish above 12th place, and then I secured the championship.
Yeah, mate, that was a fantastic effort, mate. We've appreciated your driving here this season. It's been a pleasure to behold. There's been some nice action there with the car sliding out there, and the car control I've been observing through the season's been fantastic, mate. It's been a pleasure to watch, and I have to say, fantastic racing throughout, fantastic pace, and just amazing. The racing side by side out there, you've had some fantastic performances during the season and some fantastic partners in crime, so to speak. Tim Hendrickson tonight, unfortunate little incident there into Druids, but overall, was it as exciting out there as it was for us watching back here?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Apologies to Tim for that incident. It was my fault because I was the car behind. I was just trying to take it easy, so I don't really know how that happened. I've had great fun all season.
Yeah, man, and you've given us fantastic viewing all throughout, mate, so it's been our pleasure to have you. I might hand over to Mr. Gorkrotcher here, who's our resident expert of these beastly machines, and see what he might have to ask you.
Hey, Bill, congratulations tonight, mate. Great race, as always. And I've got to say, it's impressive to watch you drive, because it's very rare that someone manages to hold you off. It's... I don't know how you do it, but I certainly can't. And you managed to get away with the win more often than not. And to be honest, the only time I've been disappointed this season is you missed out on the race at Spa, and that was a day Cooper Lopez. He joined that race, and he had a great battle with someone, but it's one where I really wanted to see you rock up and sort of, show off your skills. Obviously, there's plenty of them, but otherwise, from my perspective, made a complete season for you and a very good job. Looks
Yeah,
like you had a
I'll
birthday
make
recently.
every race next season.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope you do.
Have
But
a
looks
day.
like you had a birthday recently. You do sound pretty young. Tell us a bit about yourself, because we've never had you up here. You're at high school, something like that?
I actually left school this year, so I just finished high school. I live up at the north of Scotland on this group of islands called Orkney. Much to do up here apart from iRacing, so that's how I get to practice so much.
Yeah, nice. Well, mate, it's a great hobby to have, and obviously all of us who do it enjoy it. And pleased to have you join us on the Monday Night Light series, and look forward to having you back next season, of course. And hopefully I can spend a little bit more time on track. I think I only got maybe 2 races in this season, but and one of them was the one where you didn't compete, but not to worry. But hopefully next time we can have some great racing.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, excellent,
Fantastic,
Bill.
mate.
Thanks for joining us, mate. And thank you for putting on such a great display throughout the season. We've really appreciated it, as has our viewers, mate. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Shout out to my dad and granddad and my uncle, because they watch all my races.
Yeah, that's fantastic, mate. Well, I'm sure they enjoyed every one of them, because every one of them was a fantastic effort from yourself, mate. So all the best, and we look forward to seeing you next season. Well, looks like we lost him. He's just self-exited there. Well, congratulations, eh? Such a young fella, just finishing high school, and what a display he's put on. And I have to say, quite a mature head on his shoulders for someone, at least what we see on the track, for someone so young to be able to drive so controlled under that sort of pressure is pretty impressive, Tim.
Yeah, it is. He's obviously knows what he's doing, and I didn't ask him, but keen to know whether I think we both think he has, karting type experience, but we didn't get to ask that question. I'm sure that'll come about next season. But yeah, keen to know, because he's got skills that most only dream of. So good on Bill, well done. And also well done to his dad, grandpa and uncle, I think. Thanks for watching, and feel free to get a bit vocal in the YouTube chat on RRTV.
Yeah,
and mate, I think it's time for our next guest in the green room.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think we'll go in finishing order tonight, so we'll grab Mr. Hendrickson and see what he's got to say after quite an eventful race. Mr. Hendrickson, Alex McKellar and Tim Gorkrotcher here, mate. What a battle up front there, only sort of punctuated by that small mistake that Bill made. And mate, it was a really impressive show you put on tonight. How did you find it out there?
Yeah, I believe I had the pace to win, but yeah, that unfortunate bump kind of murdered my my rear wing and a right rear tire. So after that, it was just damage control.
Yeah, I was wondering how long if you might have trouble hanging on after that, because it was a solid hit to the rear left, and I thought that might have impacted your ability to hang on once Bill got past.
Yeah, it was quite it was very understeery up until the point that it's very oversteery. It was quite tricky.
Yeah, makes sense, mate. I'll see what insights Tim Gorkrotcher might have for you, mate.
I got nothing to say. It was a pretty boring race from my perspective with your driving, Tim. So
no problem.
No, only joking. It was nice, mate, watching you two go too wide and showing a lot of respect to each other through, I don't know what the corners are called, but 4 or 5 right-handers in a row. Hawthorne through to, I don't know, mid-track.
Didn't you do your homework, Tim?
Nah, not this week. It was as challenging as the Nordschleife. I just couldn't remember him.
Okay.
But, a great racing tonight, mate. A very good job, well done. And hopefully next season we can have you around a bit more. Tell me, how did your Twitch stream go tonight? You have a few people join you?
Apparently I have 17 people watching this.
Wow. I couldn't think of anything more boring than watching you on Twitch.
Oh, wow.
That's another story.
Oh, what?
I hope it went well, mate.
That's a bit rude, Tim. But I still love you.
You know I'm a regular follower. Get out of here.
While you're here, Tim, give us a shout out. What's the channel name?
Twitch.tv/Osmia.
There you go, folks. If you want a bit of on-track action from the first-person view with a bit of interesting commentary to go in it from the driver himself, check out Osmia on Twitch, mate. Anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to
guys.
before we let you go?
Well, Blue and Orange Racing, of course. My my great racing team. That's just me, but it's the best team with the best paints on iRacing.
Yeah, that's it.
So you don't have a team manager then?
It's me.
Oh, wicked. Oh, well done.
I do everything.
You're like the one-man band.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how good you'd be if you had two people?
Hey Tim, wanna be in my team?
All right, you two, get a room. We might leave it there. All right, thanks, Tim, mate. Look forward to seeing you on track next action, mate. Next season.
Thanks for the broadcast, guys.
Cheers,
See ya.
Good on you, mate.
All right. Now that you two have been separated.
We've got our banter is done with for the evening.
Very good. All right. Well, next in the finishing order was Mr. Ian Bevan. We might bring him up and see what he's got to say. Ian Bevan, Alex McKellar and Tim Gorcrotcher here in the RRTV commentary booth. What a return, mate. It's been some hiatus, but to finish in P3 in what was the strongest strength of field of the week, mate, you must be pretty happy with that return.
I think surprised is the word I'm going for, boys. Surprised. Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me up, and it's good to talk to you again. It has been quite a while. That was my first official race since last August, and I was absolutely convinced that I was going to be dropping racing tonight. I was absolutely convinced that I'd get maybe top 10 quali. So I was really surprised, and things played out in my favour in the end. It was really good.
Yeah, it's brilliant, mate. Well, I'm pleased to report that with the strength of field and that result, you're back over 5k I rating and a handy 179 championship points for what it's worth for someone who doesn't compete in the championship. But at least maybe we've invited you back in, mate. So hopefully we'll see more of you on track. How was the racing out there for you after such a long break?
Scary. Slightly. I was nervous. I streamed this, not an advert for my stream, but I said on the stream that I'm nervous, and I was. You could probably hear it in my voice. And I had a really kind of sketchy first couple of laps, and I don't quite know what happened behind me. I could only look forward, and I just kind of looked back at one point and noticed it was a 3-second gap, and that took a little bit of pressure off. But Tim Hendrickson and Bill, I mean, man, they were fast. Like turns 3 and 4, particularly, they just took off. And it was, whenever I caught up with them, it was their fault. It wasn't my fault. So I just want to say that they had a fantastic race, and there was some justice to Tim, I think, taking out second place rather than me pipping him at the line. I'd have done it. Don't get me wrong, but those boys are quick, and I still got a lot to work on to get anything like back to sort of some form.
Yeah, mate. Well, it's not far to go, to be honest with you. With, as you say, just the 4 100s behind Hendrickson on the line, and those two in front. You had box seat, of course, and would have been able to see everything so clearly. It would have been a fantastic ride, albeit somewhat frustrating at different points, I imagine too. But
look, it was frustrating. Sorry to cut you off, man.
Yeah.
It was frustrating from the point of view that I could catch them through the back section where I'm fine, but turns 3 and 4, I don't know the names of them, but the downhill left and then the uphill sort of sweeper onto the long straight, they just got away from me. And it was interesting watching Tim fight with Bill so hard, so early, going side by side in the back section, and that allowed me to stay on them. But it seemed to me that Bill let Tim take the lead for a few laps because they knew, he figured out they could drop me if they didn't fight, and that's what he did. And the only time I got back on them was when they stopped fighting for a while. But yeah, it was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, mate. Hang on, my thing's gone back live. Yeah, that run through Graham Hill and Surtees looked like it did present some pretty unique challenges tonight. But I also commented during the call that I thought that perhaps they were the battling was keeping you in it. But I don't know, mate. I thought you had the pace not only to qualify up there, but to stay with them, and that showed through right at the end. But I'll hand over briefly to your partner in crime from the weekend, mate, and see what he might have to ask you.
Ian, thanks for joining us, mate. Tell me, how'd you pull up after the 12-hour? Things go okay?
Yeah, I mean, the 12-hour was, it was a fun gig. A little bit of sleep sleep before the second session and a bit of sleep after it. So I didn't feel too bad last night. But I did need to keep this afternoon, to be honest.
I was going to say, I'm impressed you've made it back out because it's a hectic bit of racing across the weekend. You made the super skips last night and, of course, Monday night lights tonight. And I got to say, to have not raced officially and not. Obviously, you haven't invested a heap of time in practicing at Brands Hatch, but to be right up there, and I mean, those two, yeah, they mucked around a bit and raced close, but they didn't drop you. And really impressive to finish that close. And obviously, between the second place getter in the championship, of course, that's Hawkon. You know, a fantastic result tonight. So we look forward to having you back next season, and hopefully you and I can race a bit. And I guess have some close racing, a bit of fun, and maybe we'll be on the other side of or I'll be on the other side in the green room, and we can have a chat about things and make next season all that little bit more exciting.
Yeah, and thanks, Tim. Yeah, I mean it's been a good return, and I do definitely want to do some more racing. It was a good break. Kind of felt like I burned myself out a bit last year. That happens. I sort of blow hot and cold. But no, I'm reinvigorated, and I've seen the track list for next season. It looks really, really good. So yeah, you can expect to see me here much more often, I hope.
Beautiful. Now, a bit of chat in the YouTube channel at the moment, and that is about where are these new $6,500 pedals? How much did you spend?
No, that would be a divorce. Yeah, the drama over the pedals. Yeah, no, my trusty G27 pedals finally gave up the ghost, and I've been using a set of Fanatec's, which are just like driving me up the wall. I hate them. And I've got some HE Pros that New Zealand Custom, bless them, have been sitting on for about 2 weeks. They're sitting in a warehouse in Auckland somewhere, but they should be here this week. And I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on a set of high quality pedals and seeing what they're like. So yeah, we'll see. I don't think they're going to make me any faster to start with, but they will take one of my excuses away, and I'll have to find a new one.
Mate, there's plenty. So sure, you know, and I'm sure you can pull out some dad jokes. There'll be no issues with excuses.
Yes, indeed. Hey, thanks very much, guys. It's really good to be back, and it's good to see RRTV still alive and kicking strongly, and the top split as well. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Yeah, the Skippy community's alive and well. And before you head off, mate, give your Twitch channel a shout out so people know where to find you.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, no, so it's just Twitch TV, Ian Bevan. I don't have one of these fancy gamer names on an old boring dad. Thanks for the dad joke reference. But yeah, like swing by. I'm trying to broadcast as much as I can, and I'm broadcasting in VR, which is something I've picked up just at the start of this new season. That's taken some getting used to. But I can see chat, which I know a lot of the VR guys streaming can't actually see chat. I can, so I can sort of engage with people. So yeah, swing by and shoot the shit with me. I'd love to see you. Beautiful.
Thanks, Ian, mate. We look forward to seeing you next season a bit more on track and maybe talk to you a bit more as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks very much indeed.
There you have it. That's our podium for this evening. Tim Hendrickson, Bill Fraser, Tim Hendrickson and Ian Bevan. And what's left to do is, there's a few people still lined up in the green room, but we might grab what ended up being our runner-up in the overall seasons. And, of course, P4 here tonight, Mr. Hawkon Grebstead. I'll bring him up. Hawkon, Alex McKellar and Tim Gorkrotcher here in the RRTV commentary booth, mate. Well, talk about ploughing your way through the field. Not literally, of course, but not a great qualifying here for you again tonight, and you had to really fight your way back through the field. How did the race shape up for you overall there, mate?
I'm pleased with the position, and especially with that qualifying. Had to do some work, and it kind of worked out. Made a mistake on that last lap with Jamie Simone, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, a little incident there. Totally my bad. But yeah, good race overall.
Yeah, apart from that unfortunate incident, I tell you, there's some hard charging on your behalf, mate, and you ended up in P4, which was up 9 positions, certainly the biggest mover of the field, and very impressive, at least the bits that we saw of it, and hopefully, that makes up a little bit for the, losing top rung on the ladder overall. I said during the call you did pretty much everything you could from that start position, and Bill Fraser, all he had to do was finish in the points tonight. Not only did he finish in the points, but he won the damn thing. So taking out both things on offer tonight, mate. So hard to do much with that, but hopefully the season overall on reflection was pretty good for you.
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, I'm not surprised that Bill, took it out, and he's been going really strong all season. So never really had a chance, I don't think.
Yeah, that's it. But I don't know about that, mate. I think you're selling yourself short a bit. But Bill certainly put on a display throughout the season. But I'll let your colleague from the weekend, Mr. Gorkrocher, see what he's got to say with you.
To be honest, mate, there's not too much. I did want to ask, how many passing maneuvers did you make tonight? And so not how many cars, like we know you made up 9 spots. How many people did you actually pass? And how many of those positions were you gifted because someone took someone out?
I think 2 or 3 of them were gifted. I think the rest of them were actual passing maneuvers.
So
I'm not sure.
a modest bit of driving by you today was a pretty good effort then. If what's that, 7, 8 passes, not bad at all. Done well.
Yeah.
But quality disappointed, mate. You know, I expect more out of you for a guy that is leading the championship into the last race. I don't know whether you were trying to build suspense or what was going on, but
In the plans.
it's terrific to have you join us this season, mate. And to lead for the most part and to lose it in the last race, unlucky. You know, Bill's a fantastic competitor and a very good racer. And as you are too, and mate, I'm sure you'll be right up there next season and ready to take it to them again.
Yeah, we'll try that. See how it goes. We got summer vacation coming up, so should be
Or
good.
sim time, is that what that means?
Probably during summer, yeah, but after, I'm not sure. Not what we're looking at.
All right, mate.
No
Well,
worries.
thank you once again for joining us here at RRTV and for the Monday Night Lights season overall, mate. You've done very well to just finally be pipped at the last post, as it were, for the overall season win. But before we let you go, mate, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, you guys as always, and Bill for the great competition. You know, awesome driver. Did he probably won every race he's been in.
Yeah, I think you went pretty close too. Certainly something to live up to next season, and a challenge for the rest of you guys in the field, mate. So congratulations on a great season once again, mate. We look forward to seeing you next time around.
Yeah, thanks. Hopefully you guys will still do this next season.
That's
Looking forward to it.
At least one of us will be here anyway. I think someone else has got itchy feet to get back in the car, but we'll see how we go, mate. All the best, Hawker. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
There you have it, mate. He's laid down the gauntlet, I think, for us to come back. But I know, by the sounds of it, I'm gathering you're keen for another drive. But might cover that a bit later. We've got just a couple more folks to get through. We've got Les Peck and Simon Chambers representing the guys in the second split. I'll bring up Simon, who looks to have had a very great race. Simon Chambers, Alex McKellar, and Tim Gorkroch are here in the RRTV commentary booth, mate. How about I let you tell the story? I'm just having a look at the results here, but let our viewers know how you went.
Yeah, I got my 16th win in iRacing is how I went.
That's brilliant, mate. Look, just having a look at the results here now. You've started in P2, and let's see, 4 laps led, including the most important one. You finished ahead of a few Monday Night Lights regulars in Brad Parkin and Ben Seidel, making his return this season on the podium, with all the way down to P7 for Ken Hyams, another regular with us, Darren Lassou and Jason Browers, who I think turn up regularly. Mark Jeffrey for Team Venom in P11, and waiting in the green room is Mr. Les Peck, all the way down in P14. But give us an overview of how the race went overall, mate.
Oh, well, really, really good. I don't get many wins. So, yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I started out a second, but it was immediately in third. Another bloke passed me. Jason Willman was on pole, and John Little passed me. They had a bit of a battle through the race, and I just sort of tried to stay in the draft behind them, and eventually they got caught in a bit of an accident. Jason came off second best, and then John disappeared, and he found out later he was disqualified. He did have a lot of off tracks, so I was following him a long way, and I just hung back and didn't want to pass him. Wasn't sure what would happen if I tried to pass him. He was moving over the track a little bit, but got the win. I was pretty pleased with qualifying as well. I just got a nice smooth lap in, and it was good enough for second. So I thought I'll just hang around up the front and I hope for the best. And we were joking in the green room about it being a Steve Bradbury moment with the guys dropping off in front of me. But and Ben and Brad behind me, they started catching me, and we're pretty close. And I think it was the last lap they had a little tangle, and I got the gap back on them and crossed the line. So I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I bet, mate. That judging by the timing sheet, it looks like they were pretty close all the way down to P6 behind you. Although there was a big gap between you and that pack, but it also looks like there was a few guys who got the big DQ next to their name. The last three finishes there, which is unfortunate, and I don't know, pretty tough to rack up that many points. But I suppose a bit of action on track will lead to that potentially in some cases. But none of that, of course, reflects for your good self, mate. Congratulations on taking out your 16th win, and all the better for it being on a Monday Night Lights, mate.
Yeah. I thought I'd jump in the off chance my I rating was good enough to get in the top split. I thought I might make it on last week's numbers. I would have made it, I think, and I didn't, but had fun anyway.
Yeah, well, a bit of a challenge tonight. We have the tops off of the week, so it's nice to have that aspiration as well. Though, it keeps you coming back week in, week out, doesn't it? And but speaking, I thought I might get you to give a shout out too, because you're another Twitch streamer, of course. What can you give the folks at home an idea of where to find you on Twitch?
Super Skips _racing is my handle on Twitch. There's also a YouTube channel under my name, Simon Chambers. So they both broadcast at the same time. So you can jump in there and have a look at my my stream. I save my videos onto YouTube. So have a look. It's pretty entertaining, this one, at least for the first dozen laps, I'd say. Maybe all the way through. So and what you're saying before with the disqualifications, I think it's really easy if you overdrive the track just to either get an off track or touch the grass with the rear wheel and spin. And I was just trying to keep it on the black stuff and scrape through.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, thanks for turning up tonight, and congratulations on a fantastic win, and we look forward to seeing you next season.
No worries. Thank you.
There you have it, Tim.
I think he's pretty chuffed.
Oh, he sounded pretty chuffed, didn't he? Of course, Simon is.
Great guy, and look, he's the host owner, whatever you want to call it, of the Aussie Super Skip Series, and a passionate iRacer. And the wins, he's a competent driver, but they are few and far between when you race against guys with 5k IR. So for a win tonight for him was terrific, and to get it with 0 off tracks. That's at a place like Brands Hatch where you rack them up. Yeah, but you look at the corner and you get an off track here. So it was just so impressive for him to get a good haul of points, a nice little bump in IR, and of course SR in license terms. A really good result for Simon. So well done, mate. Terrific job. And I reckon there's one left in the green room.
Certainly is. All right. Mr. Les Peck, Alex McKellar and Tim Gorcrotch are here, mate. We've kept you waiting till last, but it looks, at least on the surface of it, like you had a bit of an eventful night there in the second split, mate. Can you fill us in?
Yeah, I think today I should have just grabbed a beer and watched the broadcast. It wasn't a good one, so yeah, but I'm still laughing. It's still a very good season with a lot of good blokes, so I'm still happy with that result, sort of.
That's it. Listen, I know that you're also here to talk about the Race for Life. Let me just pull up the graphic. I think it's there we go. The Race for Life. Les is organising a charity race for childhood cancer awareness. Can you tell us a bit about that one, Les?
It'll be this Sunday coming up now. Just a fun little event that I thought that I'd put together. We race for fun all the time, and it doesn't really cost us anything, and it's a good little hobby to have. So I thought I'd put something together to actually raise some money for some kids that need it, and have a good time at the same time.
Absolutely, mate. It's at Phillip Island, is that right?
Yeah, Phillip Island, between the MX5 and the Skip Barber.
Yeah, fantastic combination. I know we spoke about it last week, and that we've done that race before at a different track, and it's a great combination. And with a little bit of handicapping, it's wheel to wheel with those two cars as well. And a lot of fun into the bargain. So, if you want more details, mate, where can they be found?
In the Skip Barber forum, it's Race for Life. Anyone can go in there and have a look, and there is a link which I have to thank Lara from the Children's Cancer Institute who helped me put that together. Yeah, so there's a link where you can just go and donate straight into their account, so I don't see any money. And yeah, on Saturday night or Sunday, I'll send off a password for the server, and racing Sunday night we will go.
Beautiful. All right, Les, mate, thanks for joining us, and thanks for all your efforts towards building the community, and certainly for Race for Life for the childhood cancer awareness. It's a great thing you're doing, mate, and hopefully the community will get out and support it.
We've had some great support already. Only a few people signed up, but yeah, we're already up over $300, so it's been really awesome to see everyone get behind it.
Yeah, that's brilliant, mate. Well, keep up the great work, and we look forward to seeing you next season.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you blokes too in the commentary box. Thanks for doing that as well. You've done a great job. And yeah, thanks, Bernie, for letting you guys get in there and do it.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Had a bunch of pigeons there.
Yeah, that's it, mate. You think he left the keys out? A braver man that cannot be found. All right, mate. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you next season.
Shall do, mate. Catches.
There you have it, Mr. Gorkrotcher.
Well, mate, we're through the post-race interviews, and I tell you, it was more exciting. No, it wasn't more exciting than the race, but it went for as long as.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I
I don't know
what,
where they came from.
Oh, well, it just goes to show there's such a strong community built around the Skip Barbers and this race. Look, I can't speak highly enough of the people that come out to support both on the track and in the chat. It's great to have them there. I mean, this race, once again, I alluded to earlier, strongest strength of field of the week by a couple of hundred plus. Speaks to, it's late in the season. It speaks to the commitment of guys to come out and it's a little bit of fun on the side. We keep points based on the official results here on a Monday night at this time slot each week. But it just goes to show with a bit of time and effort, people come out and support, and that's what this sort of club style racing is all about, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, 100%. That's correct. And it's a good little tight, close-knit community and full of great people. And I mean, it's the only Class I race. I love it. And next season's going to be a classic, mate. But look, you've got a week off now. Got anything planned?
Well, for me, I'll be doing the Friday night race club events on Friday night and Saturday night, of course. You can find me. Gee, we had some Twitch streamers in here tonight. A bit of competition out there. You'll find me at Top Split TV over on Twitch at the URL just below. It's a great night out there on a Friday night. Multiple different cars at different tracks. And then Saturday we race around Bathurst. A little mini enduro, 32 laps with a safety car. Mandatory safety car, pit stops, the works. It's an exciting night out and a lot of fun. What about your good self, mate? What are you up to this week?
Probably nothing, to be honest. I've met my quota for the month just about after the 12-hour and the GTEs the previous week, but I hope to get back in the Skippy. But obviously, week 13, not a lot happens, so a week to reflect on the season that has been, and not a whole lot of racing, to be honest, mate. So.
Fair enough. All right, folks. That's about it for us tonight. We really appreciate your company, both, like I said, on track for the support we get and in the YouTube chat, of course. Big shout out to RRTV principal, Mr. Bernie Weemers, who actually managed a race or two on a Monday night this season, which was great. And I'm not only has it been a pleasure and a privilege to be able to broadcast under the RRTV banner, but I tell you what gave me even more pleasure was being able to see Bernie get out there and have a race on a Monday night. So congratulations to everyone involved in this season. Most importantly, I guess, to what I think will be our final podium sitters in Bill Fraser, Håkon Grebstad and Simon Dopp. Congratulations to those guys. But congratulations to everyone who had a run out on track this season. But until next season, when hopefully we will be back bigger and better, on behalf of Tim Gorcrotcher, I've been your host, Alex McKellar. And until next time, we will say ciao for now.